Assalamu Alaikum everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to look at Tesla. Tesla has just reported its earnings. So yesterday it's down about 4% today. As you can see, Tesla is about $700 billion company, and they've just reported their earnings. I do own some shares. I'm just gonna go through the financial details, give you about my opinion of what I think and what I'm gonna do with Tesla. So stay tuned. Hopefully this video wouldn't be too long. I just want to give you an overview of what they've reported, and then give you some like ideas of what I'm going to do going forward, inshallah. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, please subscribe, like the video. Thank you very much for watching. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to look at is their financials. So the financial summary. If you can check on this section, so this is what we're going to focus on. This is what they've just reported. So the first quarter of 2021, and as you can see, these are the past quarters, so the last four past quarters. Now, if you look at the first here, you will see they basically reported automotive revenue of $9 billion. Now, this is slightly down from last quarter, and I think I have a reason for that. So I'll tell you in a second. The second thing they have, so that's up, by the way, year over year, 75%. Okay, 75% up year over year. The next thing is the regulatory credits. And this is basically a profit. Literally what basically happens is the government issues and basically gives Tesla, because the EV company, they create basically, they obviously produce a lot of cars. They get these credits from the government, and they then sell it to more polluting car makers. So like Ford and GM and so on. So they basically get a free thing, and they selling it basically to these other automotive companies. Now, some people will say to you, this is basically because of this, Tesla is not a profitable company. And it's actually true. Because if you take this, basically their net income for that basically is, if you take, this is what they've reported, and if you minus it this by that, you will actually get a negative. So they're not profitable without this. But obviously this comes from the government, and they have basically, because they're the only EV maker that's actually producing a lot of cars, okay, they get this. And the government will actually issue this simply because if you look at Joe Biden and basically what he's planning to do, I don't think this is going to stop anytime soon. And they are the biggest car makers, the biggest EV maker right there out at the moment. I'm sure they're going to continue in this. Okay, so if they keep getting this and they keep increasing, as you can see, they're increasing every single year. Okay, apart from third quarter of 2020, they've been increasing. And if you can have a look at this in this section, basically is 46% up year over year. Okay, and then when you look at the automotive gross profit, okay, you can see it's basically about $2.3 billion. So that's gross profit from selling cars, and that is up. When you look at the gross profit, gross margin, that's 26.5. That is absolutely amazing. Okay, for a Tesla, that is a car that everyone says basically they're not making profit because of this and that. To be profitable and to be making money, okay, there's reasons why they obviously spending a lot of money, and I'll show you at the end of the video, but they are making profit. They are actually heading the right direction. Okay, I will talk about the price, the share price later, but obviously forget the share price for now. Let's talk about the company itself, because that's what we're evaluating. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is the total revenue. So that's $10 billion. And you can see basically slightly down from last year, and like I said, I'll share that with you in a bit. But when you look at the total gross profit, is basically going up year after year. So this is actually something that you want to pay close attention to, because this is the reason why basically everyone is excited about Tesla and what it can do, and is up about 79%. So as you can see, 2.2 billion, before that was 2 billion, and then it was about 2 billion there, 1.2 and 1.2 billion dollars. Now, as you can see, 79% up this year. And the gross margin is again 21%, over 21%, which is very good to see as well. All right, so the next thing we're going to look at is the operating expenses. And if you look at it again, this quarter is $1.6 billion. That's up about 70%. Now, let's have a look at this. So you've basically making about automotive revenue of 75%. That's up 75%. But they spending 70% on operating expenses. Okay, and when you look at this, when you look at the income from operations, and you factor the fact that the regulatory credit is basically $518 billion against the $594 billion, you can see they are marginally profitable company. Okay, just about, which is basically operating margin of 5.7 or just 6%. Again, they are still profitable. So whether you want to argue in yes or no, that they are still making profit, whether this is included or not, they are still making a profit. Okay, the other thing we're going to look at is the net income, as you can see from here. So the $38 million, and again, basically is more than what they've actually been spending on the last few, basically what they were receiving over the last 5 years, for last 4 quarters. Okay, again, that's what you want to see. Okay, the fact that it's growing, the net income is definitely growing and is going the right direction. And the other thing I want to pay you attention to is the free cash flow here. As you can see, there was a negative basically first quarter of 2020, and now, as you can see, is actually in the positive. Now that is something that is amazing. So they're creating a free cash flow. That means they can reinvest that money, they can do a lot of things with it. Okay, so absolutely brilliant to see, and they are, like I said, they are definitely heading the right directions. Okay, and if you look at the cash and cash equivalents, you can see basically in 2020 they had about $8 billion, and now they have $17 billion. So the free cash flow is basically growing, the cash and cash equivalents is growing. It's really profitable company, is heading absolutely the right directions, and this is the reason why a lot of people are paying a high basically share price for this company, and we'll talk about that in a bit. Okay, if we go down, the other thing I want to bring your attention to is the fact that they actually bought a Bitcoin over $1 billion not long ago, and this quarter basically they sold about $101 million, and it had a positive impact in the net related impairments. Again, that is obviously the company decided to do that. Again, I'm not sure why, but obviously this money they probably will end up using it for research and development expenses, which is absolutely good to see. Okay, again, however they're making money, obviously they are growing their top line as well as the bottom line, and at the same time they're investing in alternative currencies, which obviously brings a little bit more income. If this goes down, obviously I'm not sure what's going to happen, but at the moment, the fact that they've actually made quite a bit of positive impact in the company, I'm happy with that. I'm not really complaining. All right, so the next thing we're going to look at is the operational summary, and these are the types of basically cars they're actually producing. And when you look at the Model S and Model X production, they actually basically produces 0 this quarter. And the reason for that is there's been a little bit of delay. And I think, to be honest with you, that's not a problem, because Tesla, people that buy Tesla, they love the cars. They're willing to wait. They put their order and they wait. It might take about 2 months, 3 months, whatever. They're willing to wait. And I think this will make a huge impact when we actually look at the maybe second quarter. Hopefully by then they will have produced more and we will see more of that income. Okay, Model 3 and Model Y productions, as you can see, it's growing and is now 180 million shares, cars they produced, and that's up 107%. I should have said 180,338, not million. So just to summarize this part, okay, so total deliveries for basically this quarter was 184,877 cars, and you can see that's up 109 from previous quarters. And again, this is really good, and honestly the company, like I said earlier, is heading the right directions. They're doing all the right things. We'll talk about share prices in a bit, but that is basically a summary of everything that's happening in terms of the financials. All right, so the next thing we're going to look at the vehicle capacity, so basically what they're doing at the moment. And as you can see in California, basically they're in production in basically the S model, the Model X, the Model 3 and Model Y. Shanghai, for example, in China, they are in production as well, the Model 3 and the Model Y. Berlin, still construction, so they're building that, and I'll show you in a second what it looks like. In Texas is also the same, And then in development, the Cybertruck is still in development. The Tesla Semi is still in development. The Roadster, as well as the future product, which I'm not sure what that means. That maybe they've got news coming up, maybe in the next couple of months. We'll see what that means. But as you can see, they've got loads of different manufacturing, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about here. So you've got a lot of lovely graphs to kind of show you the energy storage and all that stuff. The solar camp. Oh, by the way, that's something that I'm going to mention as well, the energy storage section of Tesla in a bit. But as you can see, there's a lot more information, there's a lot more things. Now these photos are the Model Y factory construction in Berlin. Now this is the reason why I absolutely love this company, why I think this company is actually going the right directions. All the money they're receiving from selling all these cars, they are basically using to rebuild it, to basically build these factories so they can actually produce more cars. Okay, and this is great, this is amazing, this is what you want to see. This company is still early days. They have the money of it, okay, they're a profitable company, and they are expanding. They're not just happy with what they've done and just be small in EV car company. And some of these basically equipment that they're using, okay, machinery, is actually very expensive to build. And again, they're building these factories because they know this is their future. This is the one in Texas, again, is in production, basically in construction. They are building this as well. They're building another one also in Texas one, again, same, I think is almost there. Hopefully we'll finish very soon. Again, this is some of I'm just kind of show you some of the pictures, basically just to kind of give you an idea of the expansion continues in this company. So with the Shanghai, for example, they're expanding. There's already one there, they're producing cars, but they're expanding, okay, which is again amazing to see. Now this is, and then you've got a few graphs in here to kind of show you basically what is going on in the company. Now there's one other thing that I wanted to mention. Yes, there's two more things I want to talk about in the financials before I move on to what I think and where we're heading. Supercharge stations is basically there's docking stations where you can charge your car, and that, as you can see, is actually up 41%. Now the reason for this is because other car makers, the EV makers, don't actually have the supercharge stations, and the government has now basically came up and said there's basically money available to actually make these things available. So that will take maybe another 10-15 years before this actually gets ready and built, okay. And in the meantime, these companies are actually using Tesla supercharge stations, and Tesla actually charges basically money, which is great to see because that's actually impacting the overall profit of the company. So there's one more thing I'm going to show you in a sec, and this is the energy generating and storage, which basically a lot of people are talking about it at the moment, and that is basically in the cost of the revenue is actually basically costing the company over almost $600 million. So they're actually not making profit in terms of the energy and storage section of things. Now the final thing, there's a couple of more things I want to show you. So there's a lot of information in here, but total revenue, as you can see, is actually slightly down from last year. Maybe a lot to do with basically the cars that are still in production, the delay on these cars and so on. Okay, so if you're interested in Tesla and you really want to know more about the company, don't just invest in the company, just make sure you know exactly what's happening. So if you look at things like the total assets, is actually they've got more assets than liabilities, I believe. So the total assets at the moment stands on almost a 53 billion at the moment, and the total liabilities, if we scroll all the way down here, in fact so total liabilities is about $28.5 billion at the moment, slightly down from last quarter. Now this is good. Listening, if you are really interested in basically buying shares in Tesla, one thing that you really need to pay attention to is, first of all, look at the company's financials. Is it heading the right directions? But is it actually worth this much? I don't think it's worth that much, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm basically not buying any more shares. In fact, I have actually been trimming down Tesla because of my overall portfolio. I only have 25,000 or almost 28,000 pounds in this account, right? And because of that, I just don't want to hold a company that basically more than 10%. Initially used to be a 5%, but lately, as you can see, the top companies that I have, Tesla, Microsoft and Apple, they're almost like 10%, and then you've got 13%, almost 14%. And a lot of it is because it's down actually today. It's normally about 14-15%. And the other thing I want to show you is the profit. So at the moment, basically, I'm almost 100% up. Even though I've taken profit out, I'm still almost 100% up. So what I'm basically doing with Tesla is actually I'm trimming it down, because I don't think this share price, it could potentially go up, and everyone is saying it's going to go up maybe to $1,000 or whatever, and we will see what happens. But relative to my overall portfolio at the moment, basically I've got too much of a Tesla. So what I'm planning to do maybe is trim it down a little bit to almost about 10% and keep it that way. And if every time it grows more than 10%, if it keeps going up, then I'll trim it down to 10%, because I don't want to hold one company over 10%. And if anything happens to the company, basically I'll lose quite a bit of money. So I'm not really into that sort of a thing. So again, if you are really interested in Tesla, I hope that kind of gave you a little bit on idea of where the company is at the moment, where it's heading. There's so much negative news out there, and probably that's one of the reasons why it's down 4% today. So the market is still open and it's still over 4% down. Now, some of the reasons is because they bought Bitcoin and so on, or the regulatory creditors and all of these things, and people are saying, oh, they're not selling cars, they're selling this. Yeah, that's absolutely fine if that's what you want to believe. But the fact that the company is going to grow in the next couple 10 years is probably going to be the only company. Like, I'm sure there are other companies coming up, but obviously they are way ahead of the competition, and this is what I love about the company. And then Elon Musk, that guy is genius, man. Honestly, the things that he's doing is absolutely genius. Obviously he makes mistakes and his tweets are not great, and a lot of people will lose money because sometimes he tweets his crazy stuff, but overall the direction of the company and where it's going, and the fact that it's a profitable company, a company that produces amazing cars, and has got all the when it comes to total addressable market, it's literally there's no one near them at the moment. Okay, so I hope that you've basically learned one or two things from this video. If you have, please like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Do you have do you own Tesla shares? Are you planning to buy? What is your buying price? Are you going to wait for a drop, or are you going to basically just buy it now or whatever? Just let me know what you think about Tesla overall. Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching. Assalamu Alaikum.